auditors from the BDG company. Neil Delatoro is going to be giving the presentation, and it's his staff here, and our board treasurer Joe Purcell to answer questions following Neil's presentation. So leave it to you, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. By way of introduction, I'm Neil Delatoro, and I'm the partner in charge of BDG CPAs, formerly known as Richard Delatoro Company, short name this year. And we've been the independent accountants now for Galaxy for 3 years. In the past, I think our opinion came out in August. Last year it was late May. This year April, and the way it's going in the future, I think it needs to be done sooner. As the independent accountants, I just want to explain our role, and that is to opine on whether the financial statements as presented to you as members is fairly stated, free of material misstatements. And I'm glad to report that the financials, which I think were all emailed to you. If anyone here needs a copy, our in-charges here can hand them out.
We have them in the back.
Okay. And the audit was, the in-charges are Ryan Reagan and Jeff Shields. And I also want to thank the association for the cooperation extended to us by the board and also by the accounting group. Just to give you a top-side view of the audit, it starts out with a plan. We look at the internal controls of the association. That would be defined as those policies and procedures that promote the accuracy of the reporting. And one of the key controls that's been put in place, I think now for a couple of years, is the monthly reports. And as I understand it, the accounting department provides the board and also access to all the members of the results of the operations for the month and year to date, and that is compared to your budget. And as you can appreciate, the budget, the beginning of the year, is what is used to determine your monthly charges. And getting back to the accounts, if we go to the balance sheet, just to give you an idea of what we do here, one of the significant accounts, as you can see, is cash. It's about $8 million, and $6 million is in your repair and replacement fund. And then there's escrow deposits, and then there's operations for about $800,000. So what do we do with the audit? We directly confirm that with the bank. So we independently communicate to the bank and make sure that that money is in the bank. So that would be a significant account. I think management's going to speak to receivables. There is an allowance for bad debts. And then on the liability side, you may know that when Galaxy removed themselves from unions years and years ago, there was a commitment to fund the union. So that's a liability that gets paid out. And Joe, I think that's the only item that is in the budget that's not an expense per se. It's more of a reduction of a liability by about $80,000 a year. I think it's $86,000 this year. And that's going to be, and that's working its way down. So those are significant items, I would say, on your balance sheet. And the other thing I want to mention out, the board of directors has a primary fiduciary responsibility by your bylaws of maintaining the common area. Obviously, you maintain your own homes, but it's the common area that they maintain. And in that regard, when we first came here, there was a study done of everything that would be subject to replacement and repair, and that was broken out by something that would need replacement and repair every maybe 20 years, like the roof, or every maybe 5 years, like some basic equipment. So that's all been identified, and it was formally done by an engineering firm. I think it's Kickoff. They did that 4 years ago, and you don't need that every year. According to generally accepted accounting principles, which provides guidelines over that, as a common homeowner entity, by generally accepted accounting principles rules, it is to be disclosed what the replacement repairs to be at the third cost, what your funding is presently at, and what you expect to spend in the following year. And as I understand it, and again, management's allowed to do the estimates. As I understand it, in the fourth year, next year, you're going to have another formal study.
The board is discussing, doing a refresh, all-inclusive study so that, get a better understanding of the updated costs and the most updated information so that the board can prioritize and organize with, a longer-range plan. And, several board members have acknowledged that's an important study for us to get updated. It's been a while since one has been done.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And we review that for reasonableness. From the operation standpoint, if you go all the way to page, I think it's 12, guys, page 12, and we see the budget to actual, I can tell you that your total budgeted expenses for the year were $12 million, and then when the year was completed, the variance is $150,000, and that works out to 1%. So you can't say that the budget was accurate overall. 99%. The variance was only 1%, which obviously is positive. The other component of the financial statements will be the statement of cash flows, and that would be the results of your operations and accounting for changes in items like accounts receivables and payables. This is all laid out in the financial statements that you have.
Excuse me, what page are you on? I didn't hear.
Well, I was on page 12 for the budget.
Oh, of the
And now we're
budget.
on page 5.
This is
I'm
the
just
budget.
I'm going through the basic financial statements with the balance sheet, the income statement, statement of cash flows, and then there are footnote disclosures which are promulgated by generally accepted accounting principles. The accounting lines that set the standards for the AICPA and generally accepted accounting principles has requirements as to what management is to disclose in the financial statements. And again, I want to state that we have diligent checklists, and all the disclosures that are supposed to be there are there and in the right fashion. By the way, are there any questions at this point? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. On page 5, which I think it's hard for me to see that board, you have inter-fund transfers. You have operating fund, replacement fund, you have a credit 536,765. I think I see it going into the operating fund, is that correct?
Yes.
Why was operating taking $500,000 out of R&R?
Well, that would be more of just a movement of money to pay the expenses out of the general fund.
You mean what do you mean the general fund? Is the R&R and operating? So operating was short $500,000 to pay the bills?
Hi, I'm Tommy with the accounting department. So each month when the maintenance payments come in, the money all goes into the operating account.
Right.
So the $3 million that gets allocated to the R&R fund needs to be transferred in $242,000 increments each month, as well as other reimbursements that would have to go for payments that are classified as R&R expenses.
Correct.
So that's where that 500,000.
So this 536 was like to pay a bill for the hallway or some capital
Something of that
improvement?
nature, yeah.
Are there any footnotes anywhere here that would explain these kind of maneuvers to the people? I don't see any asterisk for an explanation, I just see columns with numbers with no explanation.
If there's your question, that would not be a footnote requirement.
Well, it may not be a requirement, but it would be a good thing, don't you think?
Well, I think.
You know, make it easier for the people to understand it.
One thing I do understand here is that if any homeowner has any particular question about any expenditure during any month, that the accounting department would be, to my understanding, happy to explain it to detail.
Yeah, if they went and looked at the financials, but I'm saying these are audited, so it might not just be an extra half an hour work on your part or whoever's, I understand that.
Right.
Just to have some footnotes, so any kind of questions the average Joe would have
Right.
would be explained, just makes it easier for us.
Sure,
So might that not be something you think about for next year?
we can certainly consider it.
Thank you.
We will. Okay.
Sir.
Yes.
I had a question back, if you can scroll back to where you had the total assets.
Yes.
I believe that was page 3.
Yes, Rusty.
It says fixed assets, property and equipment, net 26,000. How did you come up with a $26,000 number for that?
Okay, that's a very good question, because if this was a normal operating company, you would see a much larger amount there. And that is the undepreciated balance of, I think it's 3 units that are owned by the association. So the association actually owns fixed assets in the form of units.
So why is that listed as a dollar? Can we estimate that and put that in as a dollar amount?
Well, it's $26,000.
No, it's more than $26,000. It's 3 units.
Well, it's appreciated. Now you're getting into historical accounting, and it's not fair value accounting. So it's reflected at its original cost, less depreciation.
But in real terms, it would be worth a lot more. Can't we put a footnote for that?
That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think, if that's, anything that the board wants to disclose supplementarily, and even like your question about the fund transfers, anything that you choose to disclose supplementarily, we can do that for you.
I
If
think
you go
that would
beyond,
be, me personally, I would think that would be beneficial.
I
for the
agree.
total outcome of the report.
I agree with you. I
That
think-
number would be a lot different. That 9,444,706, is that what it is?
Yeah, I happen to be accredited in business valuation, and that's all about fair value. And fair value is much more meaningful.
And that's not only, that's just including those 3 units. There's other real property that's not listed in that 26,000.
We'd have to look at
There's
that.
bobcats, there's pickup trucks, there's equipment, there's machinery, there's a lot of other things that are not. Can we put a footnote for that also?
Well, let's do that.
Maybe,
Let's go through
if
the.
that, I mean, that's up
capital
for discussion, obviously, but I think that, that's maybe a direction that we should look at and look at what the property is really worth.
Justin, to answer your question, a lot of the things you're talking about get expensed up front. So that's why they're not necessarily listed in that property equipment as an asset,
Okay.
because we're already running it through the P&L with your your operating expenses of the building.
Yeah, let's go through that. Let's go, let's go to
Thank you, I appreciate that.
the schedule that shows the expenditures from the R&R account.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Can you turn it a little bit that we the owner to have the
Oh, I'm
opportunity
sorry.
to
You
see
can't-
something?
you can't-
Over there.
No, Phoebe, come sit over here, right over here, it's a better view.
I don't see anything on the, and I don't know on which page you
There's
are.
a little piece of paper in the back.
Excuse me, there's some seats on the other side if you can't see, and even up here toward the front. So please feel free to move over, but it's a large room and we couldn't possibly
But
make
I
that
don't
visible.
see from so far.
Right here, right here.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Under fund accounting, Well, when ordinarily you capitalize the business as a fixed asset and capitalized, fund accounting, as Tommy just pointed out, is effectively expense to the fund. So you have replacement and repair income coming in the form of your monthly dues.
Real dollars.
Real dollars come in, and then the dollars that you expend go again to reduce the balance in the fund. And all of the assets are listed in the historical financial statements. But Justin, if this was, a non-fund accounting GAAP report, then this would all be on the balance sheet. But again, the units are owned as an asset, so that they are reflected that way. And there's also a footnote, but not at fair value.
Can you speak up a little bit, please, sir?
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay. Getting back to our audit, I just want to let you know that we did not encounter any difficulties. We did not have any disagreements, with management. And again, in conclusion, in our opinion, the financial statements that were presented to you are free of material misstatement. And this time, if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. That's Justin.
Can I ask you, did we figure out how much after that the 9,444,000? How much, maybe this is a question for Joe.
Mr. Mack, could you use the microphone, please?
Thank you. Maybe this question is for the treasurer.
I turned it on.
It was. This question is probably for Joe. Joe, the $9,444,709 that is the total cash? Total assets. But we just figured out 26,000 is really what the other assets are. How much did we pay out in major capital projects last year to reflect on that 9,400,000?
We go to the R&R, so I told you the same.
How much did we pay out, cash dollar?
We're going on, I think it was 2.3. No, go to the bottom.
How much?
2.1. 2.1 in the list of projects is on this page.
Page 12, right?
That's page 12.
Yeah, 2,136.
I think that's something to applaud, actually, that we did $2.4 million in capital improvements last year. We paid towards it, and we still have a balance of $9.5 million.
Justin, in the repair replacement fund, it's $6 million. It's still a sizable balance. And again, that is one of the keys to success, is to maintain the common properties. I think if you think about the property values of the entire galaxy, if you have 1,000 units, you're talking about $300,000 and $400,000 a unit. You're talking $30, $40, $45 million in value that rides to a large extent on how you manage your replacement and repair. The people come in, they think they want to see nice halls, they want to see a nice reception room, they want to see a nice pool. And that's why, that's becomes a critically important governance responsibility for all those who are involved. And generally accepted accounting principles recognizes that, and therefore the schedule. Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, I have a question. So we paid out the 2134. Of the capital improvements, and I know this is year ending 2016, so wouldn't be here, but you probably know, okay? And perhaps that should be a footnote of the expenditures for the hallway redecoration. Has any of it been paid? Has all of it been paid? Have half of it been paid in the $2,134,000? And what balance is left for 2017? And I don't know, Joe, if that's maybe something you can ask.
You know,
Answer right
that
now.
raises a very good point. When you say paid, your financial statements are prepared on an accrual basis.
Yes, I understand.
So if it was incurred, it's included in the schedule.
Correct, but I
So
don't
it's
know
not
how
like
the billing was, so I don't know what's going to be incurred in 2017. It could have all been incurred in 2016 in advance,
Excuse me.
I don't know.
So if you look on the second line here, on the second page, the bottom half, for the hallway has a separate line item,
Where?
434.
Wait.
Page
The
12.
whole, okay,
Page 12.
gotcha. So the hallways is 434,589. So approximately close to $500,000 for the hallway project is from 2016.
Yes.
What balance of that project is left to be paid in 2017 when it should be concluded? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million?
So this is the 2016 end of year
I know.
audited financial statements. If you let me finish. This is the 2016. So they're not going to be able to tell you exactly what's happening in 2017. Those books have not been audited yet, but I can tell you this. The hallway project is paid floor by floor as it progresses. So at the end of the project, once all your floors, it's about 124 floors are completed, your contractor will have been paid within about 2 or 3 weeks of that completion, all but the 5% retainage that's negotiated in. So there's no upfront money. A very small good faith deposit of about, if I'm not mistaken, $60,000. Lawrence, can you remind me? $60,000 small good faith deposit, excuse me, on a $3.3 million project. So there's very, very little that's paid up front. It's a pay-as-you-go project. So we'll be happy to disclose that, but those numbers are not available in
I know, I
last year's
prefaced that. I said
end of the
that,
year
yeah.
audit. You're asking about 2017.
I said he might know. I did preface my question.
So I can answer it later in another forum, but we do have all those numbers, and we pay bills roughly every 2 weeks on that project. as
It's
it
just
goes along.
interesting because it's a big project, and I don't know whether Justin Mack brought up what was left in actuality in the R&R. So I wanted to know how much is going to come out of the remaining R&R in 2017 just for that project alone. But I guess you'll have to give me that answer privately.
Well, I can give you a rough answer. It's very simple math. We paid $435,000. It's a $3.3 million
Right, he
project.
just said, so deduction.
Subtract that from 3.3.
Yeah, 2.9
roughly
million.
2.8. I mean, I did that real quick in my head, but that will not be done in a month. It won't be done in 6 months.
Yeah.
It will probably run slightly into 2018 before it's all paid out, but you would have to deduct that if you want to look at what's real in the R&R.
Right.
Because that is already obligated, and we are committed to that.
Thank you, Wade.
That's a good point, Wade. Probably about $400,000 or so. That's a guesstimate at this point. Would be actually paid out in cash in 2018. This project is completed at the end of 2017.
Yeah, I might add to that, my experience in going to board meetings, it's a very active board, and repair and replacement is something that's looked at on an ongoing basis, and you can say that the expenditures fall into 2 categories. One would be mutable, and that's, you can do something about it, might be more discretionary, like doing wells. Other are immutable, you have to do it, like the furnaces go, the boilers go, and that's not a choice thing. You gotta spend the money on that. So I think it's really a perpetual management, ongoing assessment. It's not something that you just nail down at the beginning of the year and know exactly what's gonna happen at the end of the year. Because again, there are things that come up that just can't be anticipated. And that's another thing I want to mention in the financial statements. You make a disclosure that some things are just subject to management estimate and judgment, and everything's exempt. Cash is exempt. That ties in, goes back to the bank statements. And other things, you know, it's the best you can do is estimate and use your judgment.
The other thing I just wanted to note was, you know, we do have about $6 million. The board works with management and accounting with a multi-year kind of cash flow that has all the projects listed on it, so we understand where we are. The $6 million this year, we're saying about, you know, 2.8 million may go out next year, but we also have $3 million additional dollars coming in from 2017 as the board is, you know, juggling and reprioritizing the project. So at this point in time, I feel comfortable saying there's not a cash flow squeeze at the Galaxy. You have your $6 million. A lot of it is tagged to projects such as the boilers, and as well as the you know, the balance of some of the hallways that are coming out, but we're also replenishing it. And again, the board works very closely with our cash flow model to make sure that, you know, we can prioritize these projects and we have the funds to do them as well. I think this board has been, since I've been on, has been extremely conservative with the projects, and, you know, we take it very serious not to go in over our heads on this.
And when Joe uses the word cash flow, it's important to note that you have no debt. When I first took on this assignment, I studied your historical financial statements, and you had what, $5-8 million of debt at one point in time.
20 million.
So you don't have debt, but you do have $6 million to go forward. To work with how adequate that is, it's tough to assess. But it's, in the time that I've seen this place, you know, there is no debt, and the board doesn't, to my understanding, subscribe to that certainly at this point. And I think if anyone were to, from the outside, were to look at your financial statements, I think it's significant that you do have repair or replacement funds in place, and that you don't have debt. So they're not paying for something that was incurred in the past. Hey, we're looking forward. Yes?
Yeah, one more. The $20 million in debt, that was paid off before you got here, wasn't it? As I recall?
Yes, that was something, again, that we saw in historical financial statements.
Yeah, that's from loans many years ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
It's only 4 years ago.
Well, I was on the board that paid it off, so I just wanted to clarify that. When you got here, that was not a debt anymore.
Great campaign.
A quick question.
Not campaigning for
Legal
anything.
fees, they wouldn't be in here, right?
Fact.
What we spent for legal for last year?
Yeah, that would be in here. Guys, you guys know? I don't think it's so really significant.
Oh, there it goes.
And Joe, I want to address something to Joe, please. Every year for the last 4 years, I ask, please, I am working and I have stuff, and yesterday after 6 p.m. we got this information. If you cannot get it in time, that's fine, but do it in another week, that we can have the opportunity to read what is our money that we pay over the full year, and we can have an understanding. It's very nice that you can stay there and you can say that everything is fine. I want to convince myself that everything is fine.
That's duly
after I
noted.
pay $2,000 a month. Okay?
You might not have been here when we first started, but every month, management, the accounting department issues I'd have to call it a micro-detailed transparency report, which has every check written and every charge that hit.
Why
That's-
does it
that's-
get to me?
That's available. It's available. I've been told during the audit that that every homeowner is entitled to those details.
I tell you, why would I come here and tell you that I don't have it? I would have liked, like last night, 6 p.m. Hold on.
Tommy will send it to you.
Let me tell you.
Each month, the
6
full financial
p.m., like
package.
you send it to me, to continue for 4 years, every single year. I asked you, not in the last minute, to be given to me, so I honestly didn't have the opportunity even to watch on this. Fine, you cannot, I do understand. Honestly, I do
Do you have any
understand.
questions after this meeting?
I don't know. I want to stay with a calculator on each line, and I make my own, and to ask you questions. I honestly, I saw something, but I might be completely off board. To ask you a stupid
You'll have every
question, I
opportunity
don't
to
want
answer
to do
questions.
that.
This is not, it's ongoing. If you have questions, I'm sure.
I understand, but you knew that we got
Each
to
month,
the
the
last
full
meeting.
financial package on a monthly basis is posted on Condo Cafe for all the homeowners to review, and we're available to answer
Listen
any
to me.
questions that
I
anyone may have.
went a few times downstairs, and they know that I cannot go for one reason or another.
Feeny, how many hours do you need?
So
it?
I
You need how
asked
many
you
days?
as an owner,
Feeny,
to
how many
send it
days?
to me.
How many days would you like to receive it by?
I at least
So we
3
could use it as a
days, to
guideline
be
for
fair,
next
these
year.
use 3 days
When do you
or 4
want it
days.
for next year? A week?
4 days.
4 days?
A week, send it a week in advance to be on the safe side. So I asked for 4
We'll
years.
try to do it next
You guys
year,
are for 4 years
Feeny,
on
we'll
the
try,
board
we'll
and
try our
ask
best
the
next
same
year to
thing.
do it for 7 days, I promise.
What?
So-
Next year, I promise, we'll try to get it to you personally delivered in 7 days.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How many years have you been doing these statements?
4.
I think is it 4?
Okay, in the last 4 years, how many surpluses have we had?
Off the top of my head.
This is the third year in a row that we've had a surplus.
Okay, that's. When you started doing this 3
I
years,
had nothing to do with it.
I have a
Yeah.
question for you about total revenue. The total revenue was listed as 16,731,424. When you started doing these, what was that number at? I remember seeing about $19 million.
Well, I can tell you, I can speak to internal controls. I happen to be certified in COSO, the internal control framework, and it's one of the first CPAs in the United States to be certified in it. And I've really taken the whole concept to heart. You should Google COSO. And I think that my guys will agree with this. I think you're a good example of a good tone at the top, not to patronize you, a tone at the top, and being very in tune to good internal control principles. There are 17 principles, and we went through it quickly, and we're going to get much more involved in the future. In fact, I wrote an article, John, I sent it to you, about it, and I think that that's really going to be the mission going forward, is to have very strong, internal controls. I can forward you the article about it, but I think if you adhere to that, it's not just financial reporting. It has to do with operations, and it has to do with compliance with regulations. And there are 17 principles. It looks like a Rubik's Cube, and the article I wrote draws an analogy to Rubik's Cube, but it's good to see the improvement, and I think you're right about that, Justin. There has been a lot of improvement.
You didn't answer my question.
Was there a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What was the total revenue when you started?
I think it was higher.
About 19 million? Oh, I remember seeing over 19 million.
I believe you're
So,
right.
I don't understand. If I asked you when you started, it was over 19 million in total revenue, and now it's 16.7, and you automatically started talking about internal control.
No, I think they're related.
Okay, thank you very much.
They're absolutely related. Yes?
Are you familiar with our monthly maintenance bills?
Monthly maintenance bill, help me with that.
Okay, and maybe somebody will have to correct me. We have a line item, I believe in 2017, it's showing surplus, a monthly credit from 2015. Okay, somebody's shaking her head. Yes, I have the year right. So in 17, we're getting a credit for 2015. Yet you're here today, you've audited our financials for 2016. I'm a realtor, and I feel bad for anybody in this room who has paid higher maintenance this year, who sells their place and is not going to get the credit. Their buyer's going to get it in This is 2019 if we keep on track. What is your suggestion now? Let's say we have a surplus now, and I'm sorry I came in late, I thought the meeting started at 8, so I might have missed this. How do we give that back to the owners now rather than in 2 years from now, a year and a half from now, when those owners might have already sold
Can I
the
answer
place?
that
They
question?
paid it.
Yeah, it would be
Can I answer that
inappropriate,
question?
yeah, it'd be inappropriate for me to answer it.
Yeah.
It would be a management decision.
I would just give it the logical answer, and that's something to do with an attorney. When you sell your apartment, you write that in your contract. That's how that goes.
That doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, because
Then you
if
should call
you,
an attorney and
if
ask for a
you
legal
think
opinion.
any seller is gonna pay their buyer monthly a credit back,
That's real income.
no, this board should handle it better, and I think you can handle it better. You know what the surplus is, speed it up, give it to us sooner.
What about the opposite example, when we had deficits year over year and people were selling, it was the same example. They didn't assess you until the following year.
Well, you should
It
pay
goes
as you
both
go, you
ways.
should be assessed. If you're the owner and there's a deficit, then you, the owner, should be paying that, not your buyer.
So, right, and when there were potential sales here, people had said, this is, you, as Justin said, that can be discussed. You have audited financial, accounting would be happy to give you what that would calculate out to be, and you can agree with that in your closing costs if you want to. There is a timing issue with this, and the board does, since I've lived here, the only time there has been a surplus is since I've been on the board. So I don't know what they did before me. You've been here longer. Maybe there was a precedent. But the board, I believe, has till November to decide what to do with the surplus. In the current year, we have a surplus. If this year goes over budget, the board has the right to apply that surplus to this year, so we wouldn't have to do an assessment against the homeowners next year. So it is, for lack of a better word, a cushion that the board has this year in case you happen to go over budget. And I think Neil noted in the beginning, these surpluses have been within about 1% of the budget. The budget is an estimate, which means that this board, management, and accounting have been 99% accurate on these budgets. We aren't trying to rip a Band-Aid off and going over our head. We're conservatively, every year, the accounting department and the board is looking for different ways to find savings, looking at, different ways we can do things. And these things, nothing's instantaneous, and I agree, I think Justin has a very fair point. You have an audited financial statement, and if you want to commit to that in your closing costs, because that would be your prerogative to do. And it does go both ways with the deficit. The deficits never came till the following year. And this board has chosen to handle the surpluses the same way. You're talking about maybe $10 to $15 a month credit that's going in, if that's going to, it's a nice thing to have. I think the homeowners appreciate the balance, the considering going down, and the stability of a flash maintenance every month. But, the board has to do the right thing and look at how we're trending this year as well.
Joe, wait 1 second. I just wanted to say real quickly, we should do our best to get it back. I'm going to agree with that, but what we're really talking about is $11.40 a month. So if that's going to make the difference between you selling your property or not, I have to question that. So I agree with the surplus, but we're talking about $11.36 per unit a month.
So the question is, then why do you even give it back if you're minimalizing it?
I'm not
That's the
saying
law.
Especially $11
That's
I'm
a
not
month.
the
saying
law.
that we should.
It's
not
the
like-
homeowner's
No,
money, it
that's
has to go
wrong.
back.
We don't have to. No, we don't. We have discretion.
We have discretion.
The board has discretion
Right.
over budgets. So if I can finish,
I'm sorry.
the board has discretion over of what to do with that money. I'm not saying, I don't propose to honestly, between all of you, it costs as much administratively to issue it and pay it back as the money that you get. So I don't really personally feel that. I think that you should invest it into the R&R fund, which is the money that we make from our property. So why would bother going through the whole administration of issuing back $11.46?
The board would have liked to have done that, but per the bylaws and checking with legal, you can only use the funds for what you took them in for. The surplus is in the operating fund. You do not have, the board does not have the power to apply that to the R&R, although the board would have liked to have done that. It was not an option for the board. We did look into that.
Joe, but if you borrow money from the R&R fund during the year, technically, you can, even if it's from the operating fund that you have a surplus, I get that. But if during that year you borrowed money from the R&R, you can put it back, and you could have put it back instead of writing off what you took.
It's about winning an election.
It's 6 to 1, half a dozen of another.
It's not borrowing money. All of the, when you pay your monthly maintenance bill, it all comes into the same account.
No, I know, but a certain amount is designated for R&R. In the past, the board has taken some money from R&R and put it in operating because they deemed they needed it. They could have paid it back if they wanted a zillion-dollar lottery, or in the financials of that year, they wrote it off. What I'm saying, before that year ended, when you're all doing this, and you can say, you know what, we took money, it doesn't get renewed until the end of the year, even after that. We took the money, but in operating, and guess what? You know what, there's a few $100,000 assessment. Let's give that back, that extra money to R&R and write off the balance.
But there's also accounting restrictions on what you're allowed to pay as what's an operating expense and what's a capital improvement.
What do you mean? What restrictions you're allowed to pay? If you guys took $1.1 million out of the R&R to operating because you said you needed it, what restrictions? You did do it.
We don't do that.
I'll take this.
You did it.
But didn't you take $1.010 million or $1.1 million
When
out
I
a
first
couple
got
years
on
ago?
the board, we inherited a budget that was sandbagged down. And when we wrote off the bad debt for the mall, the entire board passed a motion to do a restatement of the budget. This was a one-time event,
Restatement.
an official restatement of the budget. Otherwise, we would have had to assess the homeowners $1.1 million. And you have made it clear that you would prefer that we would have had to assess homeowners $1.1 million. We as a board felt that homeowners had been assessed enough. Everybody was in arrears because the maintenance has escalated through the roof. And people couldn't sell their apartments. You were trapped here. People were
It was
calling
your
people
decision
back.
to write that mall off. You didn't have to write it all off at that time.
I have a question.
That was the choice, Gail.
I understand, you made a choice, I get
Can
it,
you
I
let
get
Jeff
it,
in?
I get it, I get
No,
it.
Gail does not like to jump in.
No, I get it.
Gail likes to speak over everything. She likes to have the pedestal.
No, hold on, I'm asking another
Folks, if I can
question.
interrupt here for
You're
a minute,
out of
please.
line there.
If I can interrupt here for a minute. There was 45 minutes scheduled for this presentation, and while we want to respect all your rights to ask questions, let's please limit it to questions. You may have different opinions about how to run the condominium association, but these are the 9 members of the board that your community elected to make those decisions. So let's please ask the questions. We have a few more questions, and then we're going to move on to the management report. There's about another hour of program people are waiting to see here. By the way, just as the auditor said, and Joe and Tom mentioned, you have the opportunity to ask questions about the financials at any time, not just tonight. So we're going to move this on. Yes, one more question? Yes,
Could you sit down, please, so I can
Yeah.
direct it to somebody?
yes. Yes, please.
Joe, could you tell the owners how much you wrote off for the mall this year? How much did you give back to them?
How much we wrote off for the mall?
Wrote off, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000? They don't pay us maintenance. How much did you write off in 2016?
I'm not sure we officially wrote off anything. There's an issue with the mall with the parking. The mall is not paying their full parking.
50% they pay, right?
What?
They pay 50%.
This, by the way, is also a matter of litigation.
Could you
And
please let
so-
Joe answer?
so
I've directed my
thank you.
question to
But Joe didn't write
Joe.
anything off.
The answer was nothing was written off. Another question in the back here? Yes.
I just want to know on page
Joe didn't do
16,
it.
what is the required environmental test report? What is that? Is that about?
Probably disposal.
Or can you tell us what page and line you're referring to?
16, about a little more than halfway down.
9,825.
It says required environmental test / report.
16.
So it's
93.
Yeah, 9,000.
Yeah.
825, yearly.
Right, 9825, the budget was 5, the difference was 4825 variance.
We don't know. We'll check it out and we'll get it back to you in writing. We just don't have the information here at our fingertips. So we'll give you the answer, but we just don't.
Well, when you say
Have you done
mean
testing?
Everybody.
Pardon me?
You mean everybody?
Sure.
Everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
I
Justin?
just had one question on the total revenue for the replacement fund, where it comes up with a 3-7 number, and there's,
I'm
Page
sorry,
is that?
Justin, what page are you?
I'm on page 13.
Justin, so this year, there was an additional amount of revenue in addition to the $3 million of the normal assessment, which was related to the agreement with technical construction. Approximately $600,000 came in, with a portion of that relating to the additional costs that are going to be paid to the new company to complete the contract, as well as other damages that were incurred, wiring damages, electrical damages. That's just reimbursement of expenses paid through the insurance company.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah, thank you very much, Neil, and Judy, thank you very much. In just a few minutes, we'll start the presentation from management as well. And once we're done, all the staff here will be on hand to answer any of your questions. From First Service Residential, which I'll talk about just a little while, we have an important announcement to make about your next general manager. So let's get started. So underneath this magnificent structure here, the Galaxy Towers is a group of people that are working for you. There's several different organizations that come together to make up the management team, as you may know. The gray areas here are First Service Residential, which makes up the general manager position, the resident operations manager, project managers, accounting, and so forth. The blue areas are Galaxy Towers direct payroll employees, and the green on the far right is Sepola Accounting. In the salmon boxes, you'll find planned companies, building services, and also lifestyles division for your front services and your lobbies and your housekeeping, and also Allied Universal for security. And if we open the curtain to see what's behind all this, and we actually have a curtain. So I want to introduce the staff, because these are the people that work for you. We want you to know who they are. Mary Veal, who is the executive assistant to the general manager. I have a secret to tell you all. Mary actually runs the place. They paid me for the last 2.5 years, but she really does all the back office work to keep the place moving. She provides administrative support for the entire team. She's our only admin support. She does the scheduling. She makes up the board meeting packets each month, handles the meeting minutes at each board meeting, where other associations hire stenographers to do this. Mary watches the video the next day, takes notes during your meetings, and takes accurate minutes. She also maintains all our contract documents, and we have volumes and volumes of them, as you'll know from the contract and project management work I'll be talking about in just a little bit while. And also, she provides support for the executive council of committee chairman. Okay. All right, I'll ask Marta Gonzalez to come up and just introduce herself and the customer service group. Or to stand up, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Marta Gonzalez, Customer Service Manager. I'm very happy to have been employed at the Galaxy Towers for 25 years. Wow. 9 of them and I'm in charge of the weekly update that you receive every Friday.
I miss that when you don't send it.
I handle the notices of loss. That means any leak reports, any apartments that were that sustained damages, everything is submitted to the Galaxy's insurance for processing. After that is the insurance acknowledgement of assignments. Once an adjuster is assigned, as well as a claim number, that informational letter is provided to the unit owner so they can mutually communicate each respective insurance representative. Violation warning letters, covenants committee support, get all the paperwork together, so the documentation, and provide as much information to the committee, forgive me, so they can make a decision. Connect enhancements, so anybody that moves in or out, whether they're owners or residents, I'm in charge of putting all that information into the system. And we're looking forward to making more enhancements and having the display in the lobbies. This is when you have a package, so as you come in, this is you'll be able to see what's waiting for you. And yes, I am the bad news or the good news. This is the other voice at the end of the phone. This is when you have an emergency water shutdown or any alerts, any events that may happen. And now I would like to introduce our receptionist.
Hey, you ready for the rock star of the group here?
Yes. Jackie has a very difficult job. It says she's the first person that you see. And she tries to assist everybody. It says from anywhere, from scheduling the elevators for deliveries, for move-ins, move-outs, assisting our residents with any paperwork that they need. It says to get everything going. She does the exterminator list, also with the laundry, any issues that are reported. It says Jackie is wonderful and reports everything and makes sure that everything is serviced and the feedback as well. And
And complaints.
I'm sorry?
Complaints.
Complaints. Yes. We all handle, as Jackie
doesn't
does.
get any complaints.
No, I didn't want to handle
I handle complaints. It says Jackie will also assist forward any complaints, and then we try to resolve it as, in an amicable way as much as possible to try to reach a resolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marta. And by the way, thank you. By the way, that smile is genuine. That's what you'll find every time you walk into the management office. That's why all the applause. And I know now that in my next career, I want to be the receptionist because Jackie gets all the love. Okay, next up is Lee Klemansky, who had a death in the family, so unfortunately she couldn't be here tonight. So Lee handles resident operations, which includes lobby services performed by planned companies. That's your 24/7 guest reception. They do key management, package acceptance, and door services. Also building security provided by Allied Universal. They handle our garage, parking management, security tours, incident reports, emergency responses, and other discretionary things that we can't talk about. Manny Lopez is the site supervisor for Plan Companies. One of the things Plan did about a year and a half ago or so was provide us an on-site site supervisor. It's not in the contract, but it's something they thought was important. Manny is our man. And I'll just quickly go through his staff so you know who your tower, concierge, and doorman are. This is Lewis and Nelvlar and Tower 1 morning staff. Tower 2 afternoon staff is Karina and Andres. I think Andres has been here about 5-6 years. He's one of our longest tenured doormen.
The best one.
Thank you. Milton and Juan in Tower 2 in the morning. Tower 2 in the afternoon, Fernando and Lewis. Tower 3, Andres and Danya. And in the afternoon we have Natalie and Jolene. Jolene on the right there, by the way, happens to be the door person who saved the life of a resident's guest a few months back. That person wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for Jolene. Security services staff is Allied Universal. On the top row here from left to right is Sharon Wyatt. Sharon, are you here?
I'm here.
Oh, there's Sharon in the back of the room. And her team Brittany, Ramsey, Cassandra, Ray, and Jesse across the top. And underneath, we have Susan McKay, our new account site manager for Security Unit. Susan's in the back of the room as well. Then I'm going to let Sharon Harrison talk about the Galaxy Spa staff. She's the full-time spa manager. She's a Galaxy employee. And if, wait, okay? Yes, she's standing right here.
I'm sorry. I can't see. Don't worry, I'm in the dark back here, I apologize. So I've been here for approximately 8 months now, and while I'm here, I take care of planning and coordinating and supervising all of what you see downstairs here, from the fitness center to the indoor and outdoor pools. The outdoor pool is going to be opening soon, as we all know. Dealing with all the meeting rooms and party rooms for setups or for any type of events through committees or what have you. The tennis courts outside, which are open and ready to go right now. The game room and the children's playroom as well for resident use, or again, if they're renting the space in the children's room. All of our ISPs that work for the residents here, those that do personal training, that do group exercise classes, or provide swim lessons. And then we also have the assistants to all the community for any type of events that are hosted through our committees, when the social and cultural committee hold events, or you have the parents committee having events of any sort. We help to coordinate with them to make sure they run smoothly.
And your team?
So I have a very large collection of supervisors on my team. The first picture on your left is one of the lifeguards, Allison, Leslie, who's a supervisor, and then Brenda is another one of the lifeguards. The picture on your right is Cindy, who is a lifeguard, Soraya, who's one of our newer supervisors, and then Justin, who many of you see a lot of. Two of my morning lifeguards that are here Monday through Friday, Danny on the left and then Thomas on the right. And then your final one, you have Christian, who's actually running the camera tonight for us. Now, he is the audio guru down here. When we need anything for audio visual, he is our go-to guy. Khalila's in the middle, who's our opening morning receptionist, and Andre is also our opening supervisor that's here Monday through Friday. And then there's about 5 or 6 more that are missing from photos that round out the rest of the lifeguard team.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Okay, Dick Sorrentino, your new facilities manager, will speak about facility operations.
I come to the Galaxy after I've been with Ingersoll Rand Company for about 25 years, major manufacturer of such things as a train, AC units, Schlage lock, which most people may have, a husband, which is a little go-kart you're running around with here and there, many different products. I left there after 25 years to go to CIT, a major financial company, bank company over in Livingston. Spent 10 years with them as their corporate facility manager running that site, which was their world headquarters, along with data centers and many other things behind that. Came to the Galaxy, very excited about being at the Galaxy, and it's a world view, you can't be any better than that. I'm going to go down my list here, I think, at this point in time. We got housekeeping. We got the housekeeping group here. This is Andre. He supervises about 20 people, which are clean our inside of our buildings and our grounds outside. Also responsible to maintain the tennis courts, the pool area. In the wintertime, they're doing snow removal in and around the grounds, all of our common areas. They empty our trash and assist our residents and owners with removal of trash.
Is Andre in that picture?
Yes, he is.
Which one is
I'm
he?
sorry, I should go down through. Andre is right in the middle, the white with the
Is it white?
the white shirt right in the middle. That's Andre. Okay, this is the in-services unit group. And in the front we have Valerie, Azrae, and Phil. Valerie and Azrae are our in-service group to help with anything from 25 to 30 phone calls a day, work orders, and about 40 a day. Field phone calls, they help everybody with all of their agreements, whether it be decorating agreements, renovation agreements, getting insurance certificates for all of those different functions, making sure that all of that is in order, and eventually getting approved, making sure that all of that is up to date, and finally, the final inspections, which Rodney kind of goes through and handles those.
What does Phil do? You said Azure
Oh.
and
And Phil is our purchasing specialist. He spends his time finding the best values that we can do for our money. Constantly giving him all kinds of challenges, from finding every piece of material, work order, materials that Rodney needs as far as parts and materials in and around the building. Okay, he processes those and sends them to accounting and all that. Okay, this is our group with Rodney, the man in the middle. Rodney, he's not only the guy that has the grease, he's got the glue.
Good evening, members of the board, Galaxy colleagues, Galaxy residents. I'd like to say good evening once again. It's been a pleasure and honor. We're here another year. Thanks to the residents here. As you know, Roger Fenderson, been here 32 years. I'm a residential manager, always on site 24 hours a day, taking care of the complex. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday, whatever, I'm always here, taking care of the complex. Like I say, when you're asleep, taking care of it. This is my baby, this is my complex, I take care of it. Make sure that everyone's okay, happy. I want to make sure you're satisfied.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Now, like I said, once again, that's my team there. That's my team. Like I said, without my team, I wouldn't be standing in front of you right now. I wouldn't be saying anything to you right now. But these are the guys that make it happen. From on the top row, from the left to the right, that's Carl. Dollo, of course you know who that gentleman is right there. That's Renee, Rafa, and Mr. Vince Sorrentino, new facilities manager. And right here in the front, that's Gus Martinez. So what we do, like today, like I said today, was we try to take care of everything. We take care of from the hot water. We take care of everything from the boilers. We take care of everything from the sewage sewage station, and also we do basic electrical and basic plumbing. And also even do a little light basic carpentry. Now, like today, I'm pretty sure some people experienced some water shutdown today. There's a big water shutdown today, and we had a big project. Project was a cost of $12,000. $12,000 cost that we took care of in-house, and we cut that quarter of the cost. We did everything in-house today. So we're here for the residents, and like I said, we're here for the residents, and then we're here to take care of the residents. We want to make sure that you're happy and satisfied. And also too, what we're going to be doing now, we're also going to be doing more. We're going to be doing like as we say, a better scheduling, better planning. But now we're doing that with this gentleman right behind me here, Mr. Sorrentino, that you already met over here. And we're going to be working together. We're going to make the maintenance department more efficient, more better. And then if you think we're better now, wait till we get done and we work together. It's going to be even better. So I promise you that. So.
Thank you, Rodney. Thank you. Rodney, by the way, where's that in your back pocket here? Can you show everybody? Now, this is a meeting. I asked Rodney to come to a meeting. He's got pliers, lockjaws, screwdrivers, and he's not kidding when he says he never sleeps. Rodney answers the phone night, day, Saturdays, Sundays, weekends. Thank you, Rodney.
You're welcome.
Okay. Marissa Poli is our resident manager of accounting. She's with the Sapoli Accounting Group. Marissa?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marissa Poli. I'm the accounting department. The few of the items that we handle on a daily basis within our office are your accounts receivable, collecting all of your monthly payments, sending out your statements every month, accounts payable, paying all of your bills, making sure things are paid on time, cash management, payroll of your GTCA employees, your monthly financial reporting, which is available on Condo Cafe, or you can request it with us, garage revenue administration, the cash tickets that are in and out of the garage, closing packages, all your new owners, your move-in and move-outs, and the collections, which we'll address further. Besides myself, I have assistance by Sarah and Jenny within the office, as well as off-site staff on a daily basis of Callie, Albert, Tommy, Mache, and also not pictured is Joseph Sapola, as well as Carrie, yes, from our New York office, who assists us.
Thank you, Marissa. This is Joe Sapola right here in the audience, the owner of Sapola. Thank you, Joe. And thanks, Marissa, for a fine job. And I can tell you, Marissa watches every penny like a hawk. Everything's accounted for, bills are paid on time. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about collections and some of the other things she mentioned in a moment. So that's a good segue, I think, into financial management of your association. This is truly a team effort, starting with the guidance and the direction we get from the board of directors, the volunteer committee members and chairmen that help us with major decisions and cost control initiatives, the legal team, Greenbaum, Smith and Rowe, and I think you saw the number was, I believe it was $95,000 in collection legal bills for 2016. I'm going to show you in a minute just how that pays off. The accounting staff, as Marissa mentioned, the employees who like Rodney and others who help us make the place more efficient, and of course the management team from First Service Residential, and the support we get from our own accounting group down in our Eatontown headquarters that guides us every day. So back in 2013, I just want to give you an idea, some perspective. In 2013, you had a budget, an annual operating budget of $13.7 million. And looking ahead, there's always challenges, especially when it relates to just simple inflation. On average, 1.2% a year as it averages out from 2013 to 2017. So that would have been a 4.7% increase just in inflationary expenses, or $641,000. But we had a better idea, and we put some cost-saving initiatives in place. Strategic competitive bidding is something that we really have strengths in, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. Negotiated service contract extensions. Our friends at Plan Companies and also Allied Barton agreed to renew their contracts without the contractual step increases that were part of the deal when they first bid these contracts. They're both 3-year contracts. So in 2016, they both laid down their expenses and gave us their services for another year at the first year rate. Reduced insurance premiums, reduced electricity contract rates, natural gas contract rates. We even negotiated more favorable broker commissions that are traditionally acceptable, and improved collections. And that's something I want to talk about specifically because this is really remarkable. Your board has been very bold and aggressive in instituting new rules for your association and new practices for management that have really paid off. Claims of liens are filed very aggressively and automatically when owners don't pay their maintenance. And naturally, you know how that affects the rest of you. Payment plans are negotiated with owners that are in arrears, so we can get some money flowing. Sometimes we'll have to wait a year or two to get back on track, but it's better than leaving those folks in arrears indefinitely. Suspension of services has been stepped up in the last few years. That means that after the 65th day of not paying your maintenance bills on time, pool services are suspended, and spa services, front desk services. That means the concierge that you all pay for and the doorman don't accept the guests, don't receive packages, and don't route pizza deliveries and other things to residents who don't pay their fair share. This puts tremendous pressure on those homeowners, and they often come to the accounting department to see what they can do to get their services restored. And naturally, that means paying their bill. Late fees and interest penalties were something that were clarified with a board resolution in 2016. So now your owners in arrears pay 8% interest as well on their unpaid balances, and a monthly $50 late fee as well. Voluntary rent receiverships is something that accounting and legal has been very aggressive with. So homeowners that have renters, but yet they don't pay our bills, and those renters are living off of the funds that the rest of you provide to support your association. So when we cut the renters off from all services, they often come to us, and when they do, we point out to them that we can give them cover, accept their rent directly instead of paying it to the homeowner. And because of the way your lease riders are written, we can give those renters cover. So the homeowners in arrears can't go after them legally. So we have quite a few of those voluntary rent receiverships happening right now. And they work very, very effectively. So as soon as those renters begin to pay us or you those monthly lease fees, we restore their services immediately, and that's the hook. Utility services are also something that it's unique to the Galaxy. Your utilities are metered centrally, and this dates back to when the Galaxy was a rental property. You don't all have individual meters in your apartments, so your electricity and gas services happens to be a common expense. And owners that don't pay common maintenance are not entitled to common services. That remarkably even includes electricity and gas. So we checked with our legal counsel, and what we've learned is that unlike the utilities like PSE&G and South Jersey Gas and so forth, we're not, and you're not regulated by the Board of Public Utilities. You can, and we do, shut off electric service to apartments that don't pay their bills. And this has also brought people to the accounting office to get onto payment plans.
How do you do that if we're not sub-metered?
Pardon me?
How do you do that if we're not sub-metered?
Well, you're not sub-metered, which means that your electrical expenses are common. So people that don't pay common maintenance are not entitled to common services, and electricity is a common service. That's one of those discretionary things, discrete things that we're not going to talk about.
But it's been done?
Yes.
It's been done yet?
Yes, it is.
How
Yes,
long
it
has
has.
this been going on, just can I ask?
2016. It began in 2016, and you're going to see more of it. In fact, your board will be considering some resolutions going forward that'll make this even stronger. It's a remarkable tool to improve your collections. Here's how it's paying off. In 2014, from 2014 to 2017, an additional $45,000 a month is now coming in from delinquent homeowners. That amounts to $540,000 a year in additional revenue that we weren't getting in 2014. The numbers prove that what we're doing is paying off. There are also some other key cost reductions and efficiencies that I want to point out. So the front services contract last year that didn't get their increase, that gave you back $22,000. Security, $33,000. We've reduced insurance premiums by $130,000. And this is something that I wish Lee were here to take credit for this. Normally, your insurance premiums, your annual insurance renewals are handled by a single broker who gets a few bids from different insurance carriers. Last year we went to 3 brokers, and we had each of those brokers compete against each other and get you bids from different carriers. That kind of competition drove your prices down by $130,000, and that was And by the way, you got the same coverage you got the year before, so we didn't compromise coverage and service for those savings. We played the futures market, and we lowered your electricity rates 7.2%. That began this year. Began to pay off in 2017, January, when the new contract went into effect. I believe that's a 30-month contract. We were locked in at these rates. We thought it would save $130,000 a year. So we only have the first quarter of 2017 to show for this. And what we've seen so far is that your electric expenses are down. Just in the first 3 months, they're down $201,000. Now we'd like to take credit for all of this, but we can't. Mother Nature has been very good to us. So some of this is the rate reduction, and some of it is simply the mild winter we had. But certainly we've met our quota for this year in the first 3 months and then some. Reduced gas contract, we did have a full year of that. Your gas contract was effective in the beginning of 2016, and that's already paid back in 1 year. It's reduced your expenses by about 180,000. Our prediction was 130,000. So again, Mother Nature is on our side, but the rate decrease rather certainly played a major part in that. The brokers that do your insurance agreed to lower their rates. So did the broker that did the gas and electric contracts for us. They cut their normal commissions in half, which is also pretty remarkable. But see, the Galaxy Towers are one of the largest communities, and the buying power that affords you gets you those extra sweeteners in these deals. So we were able to get another 22,000. Again, I mentioned the improved collections brought $540,000 a year. That happens every year now if we can maintain this. We think we can do better, but so far so good. Finally, your year-end surpluses for the last 3 years amount to $437,000. So in the next slide, you're going to see your budget decreases over the last 4 years since 2013. But on top of your budget decreases, we didn't even spend all the money that you allocated, or the board allocated for your annual budget. So that amounted to an additional $437,000 in savings in the last 3 years. So here's how the numbers shake down. In 2013, your budget was $13.8 million. It was lowered 3.3% in the next year for a reduction of $500,000, $457,000. The year late, in 2015, another $137,000 reduction. In 2016, your budget was lowered $251,000, $250,000 in 1 year. Last year, your board lowered the budget another $100,000, and the pressure, they kept the pressure on management, and I'm happy to say we were able to deliver even with these challenges. To the right side, in the second column from the far right, you see the cumulative reductions annually that add up. Naturally, in that first year, $457,000. Those reductions are compounded by further reductions in the following years. The net effect is $2.8 million in cumulative savings in 4 budget years. These are 4 years where other associations are raising their maintenance. On top of that, as I said, your surpluses for 3 years, 2014, 15, and 16, amount to almost another $500,000, $436,000. So the total savings, $3.2 million. We're really proud of that. Your board is really proud of that. So I'll bring you through a couple of the major projects. Hallway redecorating is a $3.3 million project. We're about 40% complete. Garage reconstruction, your first 2 floors, 12 and 11, that was a $2.3 million project. That's almost complete. Your boiler replacement project is just starting. That's almost $2 million. These are just the largest of the projects. There's quite a few other smaller ones, as you'll see in a few moments. About the hallway redecorating project, and this is where I came in to Galaxy. In 2014, when I came here to hold the chair down in the management office for 2 weeks. It's been a pretty long and successful 2 weeks, I think, 2.5 years later. But one of the first things I asked the board to do in those first 2 weeks is not to go ahead with a $4.2 million hallway renovation. It was a design-build deal. It didn't include the lighting for the hallway project, which would have been another $500,000. I asked them to set that deal aside and let me do it another way. It took a lot of courage to do that because your association has been waiting for that hallway project for many years. But I think it's paid off in a number of ways. Because of the bid strategy that we used, that's a combination of guaranteed maximum price for fixed fee items and unit cost price for items that are variable, we were able to get some pretty remarkable bids. We reached out to 20 companies and we talked to all of them. 8 of them were interested in bidding. So in the end, we got 8 bids for this project, several bids for a separate carpeting contract. And that's where, and by the way, that was last summer. And which is a good segue into introducing the next member of the team, and that's Lawrence Heather, who's seated here in the third row. Could you stand up, Lawrence? Lawrence is an intern from London who came to work for us part-time in the summer on this hallway project, and he stayed full-time. He'll be here until this project is completed. And Lawrence is our secret weapon, and I'll show you why. Yeah.
Can I say thank you to Lawrence?
Yes.
Yes, you can say thank you to Lawrence. I'll be happy to be interrupted.
He is here because I gave him a long list, and I had to leave the apartment for my own reasons, and he did every single line that I asked. Oh, thank you, Lawrence. Oh, thank you. He was very kind. He said, you write it, and it was tough for me to do it, but all the lines, today he did it, the guy. Today he did it. And thank you so much. He really did a great job.
Thank you, Lawrence.
I have
Thank
never
you.
seen or dealt with anybody who is on the fine line. When you need something to be done, you send him a picture of it, you let him know what needs to be done, and very shortly it gets done. And in a project this size, I am astounded at his attention to detail and that it gets done. Honestly.
Thank you for this comment. Yes.
I'll say something. Again, Lawrence has done an outstanding job. I sat on the production meeting with him every Thursday. If I'm not there, we phone in. He's been very thorough and very complete on the project, well beyond his experience coming into the project, and his performance on this and his monitoring and his attention to detail on this project has kept us under budget to date, even with all the challenges and things that we've gone on that are much more above what someone at his level or his experience coming into it would have been able to capable. And so for that, Lawrence, I give you full credit for keeping an eye on that. And his attention to detail and follow-up and persistence is well beyond any price that anyone can give him. And we appreciate it. And anyone who doesn't appreciate the amount of effort and diligence that he's put in has really not been watching this project.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. So Lawrence
Can I ask a quick
says,
question regarding this? Who is walking around our hallways at the end of each day?
okay, please save your questions to the end, please, okay? We have a lot of material to get through. We'll be happy to answer your questions at the end. Much as I hate to be interrupted during this, but thank you for those nice comments about Lawrence. It's certainly deserved. So Lawrence came in the middle of last year. He was a part-time intern. He's now full-time on the project, at least until the project's finished, and I think Lawrence has indicated he's going to go back to London, but he won't go until he finishes this project. He is committed, and thank you for that, Lawrence. After he came on board, and after this project was bid, we had some remarkable results on this procurement. Lawrence helped us reduce it further with value engineering. It first saved $307,000. We switched the wallpaper to another supplier, and by all accounts, it's nicer than the wallpaper that was originally selected and bid upon. Also, we negotiated performance bond savings of $60,000, and Lawrence himself replaces an architectural firm that would have worked part-time and only, as opposed to Lawrence's full-time service to us, and that alone was a savings of $65,000. So. You'll see in a minute also why I say Lawrence is our secret weapon. The attention to detail as we peel back the layers of what's happening behind the scenes, which you don't all see, I think is pretty remarkable. The project area of your hallways is 117,000 square feet. It's the largest of this type of project in New Jersey and probably for years to come. Similar projects, and as was that deal that was on the table a few years ago, cost $40 a square foot. We know this from our other properties and from the engineers who are working on similar projects in the area. Your cost is $26 per square foot. So that's about $1.6 million lower than it would be if you had average costs. So I didn't put this up for you to read, but just to see that there was some real detailed planning that went into this. This is the project budget estimate that was done in April of 2016, 2 months before we got bids. The bottom line in the far low right-hand corner says 3.3 million, and that's exactly what we're achieving here. We did this estimate based on several different scenarios: leave the mirrors up, take the mirrors down, popcorn ceilings, and so forth, to help you as a community and your board make those decisions. We also very carefully selected the lighting, and one of the criteria we used was energy savings, and this shows the calculations we were doing with the wattages from your existing lighting to your new lighting. The new lighting saves an additional $30,000 a year in electricity, and that's based on your newer, lower rates for electricity. This is Lawrence's project schedule showing what's going to happen on each floor every week for a year. And to plan and predict the timing of a project like this, where you have 9 floors of decorating, of reconstruction going on at any given day, and stick to the schedule, is pretty remarkable. So that's the kind of organization that goes behind this. This is a graphic he did that shows what apartments get affected on which floor, so it helps with communication. Though the areas at the top of this graph, and that's your towers 1, 2, and 3, from left to right, the areas at the top show which floors have been completed so far. This also helps our new people in how to get around on those lower floors, because it can be kind of confusing. So I'm just going to run through some before and after pictures. Though you live here, so you know what a remarkable transformation this has been. On the left, here's your hallways, pre-construction. On the right is a newly redecorated hallway, and apparently the project also makes your hallways longer, apparently. This is some of the trim detail that also I have to give Lawrence credit for working out these, and members of your board working out these details on exactly how to do those finer finishes, the little things that make a big difference. By the way, you know, going back to your board, we worked for about a year to plan the details of this project, and 4 of the members of your board were on that committee, but they weren't all board members at the time. Sohaila Kobler and Richard Miller headed up the committee, and also welcomed Richard Vasquez and Wade West, who worked hard with us for a year and are now members of your board. A debt of gratitude goes to them as well. So again, I'm going to just flip through these. It's obvious the transformation is remarkable, and this goes right to your property values. Your realtors are saying your property values are up 10% already. Now, some of that's the market, but a good portion of that excitement has to do with the dramatic transformation of the image of the Galaxy, the curb appeal, and how it appeals to buyers. So these are your connecting hallways, and so this is a typical elevator lobby pre-construction, and this is a new one. So there's no trick photography here. These are, this is the actual transformation. What you see here is an example of what we're going to do with uniform signage throughout the property. As you all know, and this was controversial, we did not maintain the 3-color identity of the towers in your carpets, door, paint, and walls. However, we put those colors in all your signs. There are some 6,500 individual signs being custom made right now for this project. All of your door signs will look like this. Those that are required under ADA will be in Braille, and even those that are not will have tactile raised letters, so all the signs look uniform. Those red letters will go in Tower 1, blue in Tower 2, and green in Tower 3. So you'll still have your color identity, but you'll have it in a more elegant and discreet way than in carpets and walls. Also, these are your door chime viewers, 2 different types. The one on the left are the original, and the one you see on the right are some recent replacements that were done throughout the Galaxy. We made this problem part of the sign program. And this is 2 of your board members. Actually, Wade Wesson designed this. So your new door plate will be coming from the sign manufacturer. These are all custom-made aluminum plates, and the button goes to a remote door chime that you can plug into your wall. and put anywhere. There are 2 of them for each apartment, so you'll be able to hear your doorbell from wherever you are.
Great job, Lee.
So a couple more quick slides on project management. Your garage construction is a major project. The floors 12 and 11 have been almost complete. They were about 75% complete in July 2016 when we issued a stop work order to your original contractor because of extensive delays, sloppy workmanship, and they also slowed down to such a point where we just didn't have the confidence they can finish the job. So we canceled the contract for default. We put a claim into the bond company, and I think Tom mentioned earlier, as part of the financial audit questions, some $600,000 was returned by the surety who wrote the performance and payment bonds on this contract for the first contractor. So that was a check that we were able to put directly back into your capital account. The first $323,000 of that was for the performance payment, and that paid for the additional cost of the replacement contractor. The rest of it, the $275,000, we used for some new lighting and other sweeteners to the project. So that was the damages that we were also able to negotiate with the surety. The new contractor has finished heavy demolition. They're currently doing under slab work, which I'll show you in a minute, and soon they'll be doing the deck sealing and traffic coating. So we're now 95% complete on that project. Here's what it looks like behind the curtains. You don't usually see this. We're chopping the first couple inches off of every slab, pulling out the rusty metal, and putting in new reinforcement bar, and then pouring over top. Your garage decks from floors 12 down to 6 are going to be 100% reconstructed, and unfortunately this is necessary. This is a picture of an actual structural beam that had to be removed, and this was on between the 6th and 7th floor, and what you see missing there was holding up the rest of the garage. So you can imagine the seriousness of of this project, and how many precautions have to be taken to make sure that no collapse happens while this work is being done. So this beam has now been replaced, it's brand new, and you'd never know it was chopped down. So right now, behind the tents, what's happening now is the overhead work on the slabs. This is what you see throughout your garage when you look up after you park your car. These are pretty scary pictures, but you won't be seeing this stuff for too much longer. What you see here is an old repair that was done in such a way that it didn't last. So we made a couple changes in how we're doing it now, and we dug out some of those old repairs so they can be fixed as well. And we're pinning and installing reinforcement bar from underneath now, and then forms are put up, and then holes are drilled from the top, and we pump concrete in from the top, and that's how we fix the under slab decayed areas. So when we're finished, this is what it looks like. That extra mass you see there is to accommodate the rebar that we began to put in to make sure we don't have to come back to these again. Your columns are also being repainted and also renumbered. So the column 30 on one floor is going to be column 30 on another floor, right above and right below. So it'll make it easier to get around your garage. Here's the before and after picture that shows the difference in the lighting. And again, there's no trick photography here. These were both taken with the same cell phone. And what you see on the left is your existing sodium lamps. And on the right, we began to replace your garage lighting with LED lights on the floors that we're doing construction on. All this equipment that was left by your last contractor will be sold at auction by the Hudson County Sheriff on May 5th. So I think that returns some 60 parking spaces to you, the residents in the garage, as soon as that sale takes place. This is part of the legal settlement. Next steps for the garage. We have brought the structural engineer back to do an assessment on the lower levels of the garage. What remains is another $6.5 million worth of work. We think we can do this in 3 years, and these are among the decisions that your board is considering in terms of timing and funding. Next up is the boiler project. This project was awarded and is now under contract. Your first of 2 boilers will begin to be dismantled in 1 or 2 weeks, and your first new boiler will be up and running in July. Before the board went ahead with this project, they asked us to do a study on various options, and we looked at replacing your boilers in kind with 2 brand new 500 horsepower boilers. We looked at installing smaller boilers and making your hot water with separate condensing type hot water generators. We considered converting from your steam system to a hot water system, and we looked also at a combined heat and power, or cogeneration system as it's known. We looked at the pros and cons, the benefits, the payoffs, the investment, and the amount of years it would take to break even on these investments, and the board came to the decision that the best course of action was to replace the boilers in kind with 2 brand new 500 horsepower steam boilers as you have now. Of course, they'll be a lot more efficient. Also, the heat exchangers that make your hot water have been very unreliable recently. In fact, they don't regulate themselves. So when demand goes high or the weather changes quickly, your hot water gets cold and hot, and they have to be manually regulated. And there are 26 of these things just for your domestic hot water. So it's almost impossible for the staff to keep up on this. These will be replaced by flat plate heat exchangers that are self-regulating. So those problems will be a thing of the past. Your current boilers, these are 2 pretty scary monsters. They're about 45 years old, and their serviceable life ended some 4 or 5 years ago. Still, the maintenance department keeps them running remarkably, at least for another 2 weeks for that boiler on the left. That will be a thing of the past, and replaced by 2 brand new 500 horsepower Iasco boilers. By the way, as we mentioned in the last board meeting, as a matter of pure coincidence, these boilers are manufactured by a resident here in the Galaxy, long-standing boiler company, one of the best in the area. They're very, very efficient boilers. Mr. Eastman, I believe is his name. Moving forward.
Take out the old boiler completely?
Yes.
Okay.
In pieces. Do you want them? In 2017, some of the operational initiatives will be rebidding several of your service contracts that are now expiring, front services, security, housekeeping, your laundry room equipment, which will be all brand new stainless steel equipment, by the way, by the end of the year. New elevator maintenance contract, another new natural gas contract that will be expiring at the end of this year. And we'll also be doing some long-range capital planning that your board will be speaking about in a few minutes. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. Here with us this evening are the executive management team of First Service Residential, and I'll ask Michael Mandillo, our president, to come up. He'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Frank. Good evening, everybody. As Frank said, my name is Michael Mandillo, president of First Service Residential, and I want to thank you, the residents, as well as the board. Excuse my back to you, but thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come. Real quick, because I know you've been here a long time and discussed a lot of things. I just want to thank you from a management company's perspective. We've been doing this for a couple of decades. And a little background on First Service and kind of what we feel that we could continue to bring to the table here to help the team and the leadership here, as well as the board and you residents. We manage residential properties from high rises to condos and homeowners associations throughout North America, and about close to 8,000 buildings that we do. Out of those 8,000, about 1,500 are high rises. How we identify high rise properties are 7 stories and up. So part of our job from a company perspective is to bring any resources where we feel could be applicable or can bring value to the table, to the management team. It's working behind the scenes with the management team and the leadership here, as well as needed with the board. It's been a real pleasure to be here, and I want you to know that we don't take this for granted for being part of it. We know it's a collaborative effort, and not only from you residents, but of course the management team and the staff. And it was really impressive to hear some of the people, Rodney and I think Marta, who were 25 years in and 36 years. You know, I've been doing this for over 25 years, and it's very rare to see people that will stay with a property in a building in that long, which says a lot about them as well as about this building and the community itself and the board. So it's very, very impressive. But the entire staff here, everyone here and that has their fingerprints on this, we really do appreciate all the efforts they do and the collaborative effort from the board. It's a large board, which is not common that we see around the country, but the collaboration and the commitment, as you know, while you might not agree with everything and everyone is entitled of opinions, it is a voluntary role, and it's a role that takes a lot of commitment. So we appreciate that and to work along with them. Personally, I want to thank Frank for the last couple of years that he really has made a difference and has been really representing well the leadership here, and will be continued from the next level of kind of supporting and being part as well. So thank you very much, and of course thank you all as well. So it's been what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce our Senior Vice President Arthur Bartokowski. But before I do, just from a personal perspective, I'm fairly local of here. I grew up here and went to college locally here. And about 25-ish plus years ago, I remember in college I dated a girl who was a lifeguard here. And I remember coming to this property when I was in college. Once I got lost, it took about an hour to find. No, I did not. I think Rodney stopped me back then. But I remember looking at this and just being so amazed, never knowing in a few years later that I would get involved in starting a management company, and ever have the opportunity to manage this community. So I want you to know from a personal perspective, I truly do appreciate the opportunity. I want you to know that we take it very, very serious. So it's kind of cool coming here when I do a couple times a year and just kind of look around and say, wow, it's great. So I wish you all the luck. You've got some great projects, great savings, and thank you very much. And I'll introduce Arthur Bartokowski.
So I'm just going to make a few remarks here, mostly about Frank, because within the organization, Frank Fittipaldi reports directly to me. So about 2.5 years ago, when we were searching for a new general manager, I approached Frank and I said, can we take you off the bench and put you over at the Galaxy as the interim manager for about 2 to 4 months? And he said, well, sure, with my hour-and-a-half commute each way, sure, 2 to 4 months will be just fine. So he was here for a couple months, and the board approached me and said, you know, we've got a lot of projects going on. We really need to build a strong management team. Now's not the time to make a change again. And they were seeing some real positive effects with having, you know, Frank here as your interim manager. Could he stay longer? So it's now 2.5 years longer. Frank's still here. I want to personally thank him for doing what I consider an outstanding job, along with the great support of his team and along with the great support of a very hardworking board. So it's been 2.5 years for Frank. I asked Carl Keeninger, your past board president that worked very closely with Frank for, you know, a lot of those 2.5 years, you know, some comments that he might have. And I'm going to, if it's okay with you, Carl, I'm just going to read and quote you what you said. Carl said, for over 2 years, I have had a daily working relationship with Frank. We dealt with a great variety of problems and projects in the running of this large complex. In all of my dealings with Frank, his first concern was his client, the Galaxy. This was more important to him than what was good for First Service Residential or for himself. So, I want to also say that one of our core values at First Service Residential reads as follows. I'm going to read that core value to you. Do what's right. Our clients trust us to do what's best for their community. We are guided by our ethics and clients' interests in everything we do. So certainly, when I heard Carl's comments, this core value definitely resonates very loudly with me. So I thank you, Frank, and I want to also let you know that we're pleased that Frank will actually continue to be involved with the Galaxy, and his new role is going to continue to support the new general manager, who we're going to speak to about very shortly, whose name is Dorothy. I wanted, and we're gonna, also Frank will support the board members into the future also, that'll be part of his role. So, on to the next very exciting chapter for the Galaxy. I'm going to actually turn over the mic now to Colette Montanaro, our Vice President of Talent Acquisition, and she's going to tell you about what's going on with all that and how we got here tonight with Dorothy.
I thought you were going to say, and now the exciting part.
This is the exciting part. This is it doesn't stop with Frank. We have to go on to the next chapter. So here's Colette Montanaro.
Hi, everybody. So, Colette Montanaro, my role with First Service, I've been with the company 8 years, is talent acquisition. So most of what I do is get involved in some higher level strategic hiring for key accounts that we have, where it might be a bit of a difficult time. I've been with the company 8 years, but come with over 20 years of staffing experience. And that experience does come through building teams and success that I've had in that area. So I want to walk you through exactly how we went through the hiring process and typically how it's done. So I work closely with the board in really defining, and the management team, defining the skill sets that are necessary. Every community is unique, and so is the team. So finding the right fit is extremely important, and that's what I have really developed over the last 8 years, is also building and bringing culture to the company and to our associates. So together with the board, we get an idea of the skill sets, and I work closely with our management team. Arthur definitely worked with Michael as well to make sure that we were bringing in the right people. Frank also. We develop a job description, and then we do go to definitely different sources in order to find a group of candidates that we feel are the best fit. We go through a real vetting process when finding this. This is a large project to make sure that we find the right person for a community of this size. So we went through the vetting process, multi-step, a lot of interaction and interviewing went into this, and a lot of collective opinions in who would be the best fit, and unanimously, we all thought that Dorothy was the perfect fit here for the Galaxy. So I would like to introduce Dorothy as the new general manager here at the Galaxy.
Thank you, Colette, Michael, Arthur, and Frank for the warm welcome, and also for the opportunity to serve the Galaxy Towers. I would like to thank the board and community for welcoming me to the Galaxy Towers condominium. I am excited about my new role and continuing to raise the level of quality of life for all residents of the community. The challenges we face are real, and there are many, but with your help, they will be met. When facing any challenge, we'll see it through to resolution with perseverance, integrity, and open communication. I plan to work closely with the community and welcome your input and suggestions. I don't want any of you to feel that you're not able to ask questions or make smart suggestions. I truly welcome your comments and recommendations. My mission is to deliver exceptional service and solutions that enhance the lifestyle of every resident and the value of your property. I am looking forward to working with the Galaxy Towers community, the board, the committees, and my new team. Thank you, Galaxy Board and community, for giving me and First Service Residential the opportunity to serve you. And now your acting board president, Sohela Kobler, would like to address the community. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
No.
Not working. Is that working?
A little bit closer.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sohela Kobler. I'm acting president of GPCA. Let me first, I
it is too heavy for that stand. Let me first thank our auditors for their report and thank all of you for attending tonight, as well as those of you who are now watching on YouTube. I also would like to say thank you to our departing General Manager, Frank Vitopoli, for his report this evening and for his service to the Galaxy during the last 2.5 years. Frank came to us as an interim General Manager for a 2-week assignment. Now Arthur says for 2 or 3 months, but I remember it was two weeks assignment. He quickly embraced the challenges we were facing at the time and realized it was going to be a very long 2 weeks. During his tenure, Frank has dedicated his time to improving the financial health of our association, has worked tirelessly on projects such as Hallway, the new boiler project, and the garage reconstruction. He has worked closely with the board, our committees, with many members of our community to help steer the Galaxy in a healthy and positive direction. Please join me in thanking Frank for his hard work, dedication, for his leadership in directing our management team, and his work with the executives at First Service to find a new general manager. On that note, I'm pleased to welcome our new general manager, Dorothy Vasayak. After an extensive search, Dorothy was selected because her experience in condominium management and career accomplishment was an excellent fit for the challenges of our community. We are all looking forward to Dorothy taking the Galaxy to the next level. Please join me in welcoming Dorothy, and I ask that we all give her our full support. Over the past 4 years that I have served as a vice president of our board, I have been proud of the way that the board has conducted the business of the association. Many important projects have been completed or started, and each has been carried out in a fiscally responsible and conservative way. As you can see from the financial performance over the past 4 years, we have worked very hard to control costs, and it has paid off. Holding the line on our maintenance costs helps our value and now gives us opportunity to use some of the savings to increase services if we so choose. The board sets the goals, priorities, and expectations. With 1,075 units, nearly 3,000 residents, 20 active committees, a management team, and over 100 employees, this truly is a team effort. Coincidentally, today is a National Volunteer Appreciation Day. This is a perfect time to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work of all of the committee chairs and members who volunteer their time to host community events and work with the board and management to make the Galaxy a great place to live. This has been a team effort, and we hope to involve more owners as part of the team going forward. A special thank you to our former board president, Carl Canninger, for his leadership and hard work over the past 3 years. It was during his leadership as a board president that the accomplishments outlined here tonight have been taken place. We all owe him a debt of gratitude for his work on behalf of the Galaxy. Finally, allow me to congratulate the newest members of the board, Richard Vasquez and Mike Rico. Everyone wishes both of you well. Of all of the committee chairs and members who volunteer their time to host community events and work with the board and management to make the Galaxy a great place to live. involve more owners as part of the team going forward. A special thank you to our former board president, Carl Carringer, for his leadership and hard work over the past 3 years. It was during his leadership as a board president that the accomplishments outlined here tonight have been taken place. We all owe him a debt of gratitude for his work on behalf of the Galaxy. Finally, allow me to congratulate the newest members of the board, Richard Vasquez and Mike Rico. Everyone wishes both of you well. Now, what is next? What is our plan for the next year? The board is considering to reformat the public board meetings to encourage more involvement of the homeowners in our decision making. Next year, the board will face some important project decisions, and we would like to get some input from our community through town hall meetings, surveys, and open dialogue. There are a number of projects ahead of us. We have put them in 4 categories. First, the projects that have been approved by the board, and they are current active projects, such as garage reconstruction, new boilers, and hallways. In this slide, you can see the list of these projects and the percentage of their completion. Some of these projects don't have a high visibility, like engineering heat plant, garage damage, light replacement, etc. As you can see, there are 20 of them in that list. Next, there are critical projects which we believe we must fund, and we as a board will talk to you about them in the upcoming year. Such as new electrical transformers, final phases of the garage reconstructions for the lower floor, sewer lift station upgrades, etc. These are not the projects that we can choose not to do. The only question is when we should initiate these and in what priority and how to go about it. Then we have important projects. These are the projects that management has recommended we consider, such as replacement of all the common plumbing in the towers, riser project, that is about the stack lines, new LED lighting throughout the garage. Riser replacement, this is a stack lines, as you know, because of the broken pipes, we get a lot of leaks and damages to our lobbies, to apartments and other common areas. This is a costly and project and require a careful study before any decision to be made. We need to think about whether we want to replace the pipe or continue to patch the broken part. So we need to explore the other alternatives, such as lining the pipes, any new technology that we can use, etc. How much each option going to cost, and what are the pros and cons. This is the example of how we have to go about each of these projects. Finally, the 4th category is discretionary or optional projects, such as modernization of our garage electrical and new finishes for the men's locker room. Once we are doing the ladies' locker room, why not considering to do the men's locker room? Indoor pool LED lights. These are the projects that we do not have to do but may choose to do. Basically, we need to carefully consider, discuss, collect data on each of these projects, and also to hear from the community any ideas, preferences, etc. before we make our final decision. To summarize, the next step of the board is community input. What we expect to do is community input. We should do the reserve study, engineers, condition assessment, and 5-year capital plan. What we are saying is that in capital investment decision, we would like to get the community input. We need to do the reserve study, which tells us how much money we should put aside for replacing our equipment at the end of their life, their useful life. We need to get the engineer's condition assessments, which is a detailed evaluation of our equipment. And based on those 3 inputs, we will build our 5 We call for volunteers. We encourage you to join our committees to help our community. We need you, need your participation and your input. Thank you all for attending and have a very good evening. So if you have questions, the board members will finish the meeting because it has been too long. If you have any questions, you're going to be available then to talk.
I want to
Thank you.
ask you